All right. And welcome to the Business Shower Podcast, a podcast for business owners to shine. Today, we are talking with Eddie Johnson. Eddie, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic, Kelly. How about yourself?
I am getting over a cold, so I sound a little congested, but I'm here and we're doing this today.
Hey, absolutely. Right before all the great things in life are about to happen.
Yes, exactly. So tell our listeners who you are and what your business does.
Yeah, so I am Eddie L. Johnson. I am the founder and CEO of E4 Inspiring Motivations. And I work with leaders who struggle to find real success and who want to identify the best qualities of their authentic self. So they can show up and make a difference in through purpose, which leads to meaningful fulfillment and continued success.
Okay.
I also train leaders to successfully break through adversity, which positions them to adjust and remain productive in their personal and professional lives.
Awesome. Okay. So how did you get into this type of business? I'm curious.
Oh, wow. Great question.
Mm-hmm.
So, most people kind of get into things by happenstance or circumstances or whatever. Well, I'm not exempt to that. Actually, back in 2017, I was celebrating 20-year anniversary with the great company I was working for, and I got downsized. And normally when that happens, everybody is like, "Oh, wow, why is this happening to me?" and everything. I kind of went through that for a moment in a thought process, but basically what it did is it led me down to the place of being able to discover my purpose and my true meaning in life.
Okay.
So that event in and of itself kind of led me to this path to where I'm at right now, and being in a position to be able to impact the lives of others in a positive way.
All right. Awesome. So did you take anything from school that, you're using currently in your business, or is this everything that you've learned from experience? Because, a lot of people think that I need to go to school, I need to get a degree to, be able to be a business manager. I got to go to school for that. So did you take anything from school that is helping you in your business now?
The only thing, life lessons.
Okay.
Life lessons has been my teacher.
Okay.
But what I will say from school, just dealing with various things while in school, various adversities, dealing with people,
yes,
how to interact with people. Those are the things. If I could say anything that I got out of from school that kind of carried on, those were those kind of things. School basically, I like to look at it as it's an opportunity to show that you're trainable and you're coachable.
Yes.
And that you can learn. But if those life lessons, that's going to really teach you how to navigate life in and of itself.
Okay. So let me ask you this. When you went to school, did you stay on campus or did you go to school from home? I like to ask that question because it's a different experience when you stay on campus versus not staying on campus. So I just
yeah. So my freshman year, I attended Florida State University, and as freshmen, most freshmen basically probably about 95% of us stayed on campus. Okay. So I stayed on campus my freshman year, and then after my freshman year, I moved off campus and into an apartment until I graduated in '94. Yeah.
The cheaper way.
The cheaper way, exactly. And I got the opportunity to have that ability to be able to demonstrate my maturity.
Yes.
And learning how to take care of myself in a setting such as paying my own rent, my own lights, my own water. So that was a good thing.
Yes. So you learned some responsibility. I love that. Okay. So what do you enjoy most about being an entrepreneur, and what do you feel like is the hardest?
Wow. So what I would say the hardest is it's all you. It's nobody there to kind of, you know, push you, nudge you. There's some days as to where it's just me, nobody to talk to necessarily. And in that interaction with other people is very important for me. So that can be a struggle for me, right? One of the things I do like about being an entrepreneur is that I have that flexibility, to, you know, come and go and do things that I need to do personally as well as professionally. And I'm not kind of hindered to someone's clock. So that's a good thing, but also can be a downside to that too. And that downside is, when does the day end?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you handle that? I'm just curious. Because, you know, everybody that listens to our podcast, they're new business owners. So in their head, if they're like anything like me, they feel like they have to work 13 hours a day. And, you know, that's not necessarily the case. So like, how do you handle that?
Work-life balance. One thing that we always have to remember is that there needs to be a balance. And when we get to the point, if we find ourselves just working all the time, you know, just grinding, constantly going, what happens is we begin to neglect those things that are most important, which is family.
Yeah.
So one thing that corporate America taught me is the fact that you can't throw all your eggs in one basket.
Yes.
Right? Because if you end up doing that, home is going to suffer. And that's not a good thing. Yeah. So work-life balance is key. And the other thing for me, I guess, you know, because I have 3 kids, right? I co-parent 3 children, and my kids are with me half the time. So I have to have that cutoff time so that I can be involved in what's going on in their life, their activities, their schooling, and just teenage conversations sometimes. But having a work-life balance is really key as an entrepreneur. You cannot let what you're doing as an entrepreneur consume all of your time.
Yes.
Because if you do, what you will find is you will get into a habit, and that habit will get you burnt out. It will get you stressed out, and it'll potentially get you thrown out. When I mean thrown out, you might get thrown out of the household if you're married.
I was just about to say that you're going to be sleeping on a couch or you're going to be divorced.
That's right. That's right.
Yes. Okay. I absolutely agree with that. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that tip with our listeners. So I hope you guys are listening to that. Okay. So my next question to you is COVID. We are dealing with it. It looks like it's never going away. Especially, I feel like our state, well, my state, and specifically in New Jersey, I think we're going for lockdown number 2, which I'm actually happy about. But how were you dealing with this during the pandemic? Like, did your business thrive? You know, did it slow down? Did you have to pivot? Like, how did you deal with that?
Yeah, you know, actually, for me, like everybody else, pivoting is something everybody had to do, right?
Yeah.
When COVID first started, you know, I can honestly say, you know, I was kind of really in the infancy stages of jump starting. As a matter of fact, COVID started in March. And actually at the end of March, the beginning of April, I was actually scheduled to actually pre-launch my purpose program that I created. It's a 6-week program.
Okay.
And this program was actually designed initially to be in person in a small group setting.
Okay.
So instantly, I had to pivot my whole program to be virtual as opposed to in person. And at first, I was a little nervous, Kelly. I got to tell you, I was like, man, this has just spoiled everything. I'm going to have to push everything back until we get through this. But I'll tell you this, it was a blessing that I pivoted to be virtual, because it turned out being virtual and the way that the program is structured and set up, it's a very interactive experience to begin with. So everybody felt like they were in the same room anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, being able to pivot was real critical for the most part. I would say that.
Okay.
In regards to COVID.
So your business thrived during the pandemic.
I think we all thrived. And I say that because of this. We're all here today.
Yes. Listen, I'm smiling because I know you're right.
Yeah. We're here today. Here's the thing. We've dealt with some things. Some of us have experienced COVID for ourselves. We've
Yes.
had loved ones with COVID. We've lost loved ones,
Yes.
friends and people that we've known from COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what? We've thrived because guess what? We're here now.
Exactly.
It's a lot of people that's not here, but it's a lot of people that are hurting right now because their loved ones aren't there.
Yes.
So we all have thrived through COVID. Absolutely. It has not looked the way that we had hoped it would look.
No.
And it's not certainly looking like we would hope it would right now.
Yeah.
Because of all these different variants that's going on. Yeah. However, we're constantly and we're continuously thriving.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree with that. So we all know, right, that being an entrepreneur is like tough. It's hard. We have those days where we wake up like I did today, sinus infection. I don't feel like moving, but I still got to move, right? So how, in those moments, how do you stay motivated? How do you keep going?
Yeah, for me, so I'm real big on purpose. Okay. And it's one thing about purpose is that when we're operating in purpose and we're using the best qualities of ourselves, the way I get to purpose is let's identify the best qualities that make up your uniqueness, right? What are those things that you're passionate about? What are those things that you're motivated about, that motivates you? So when we understand what those things are, it helps us to keep going when it's those slow days. And we're going to have those slow days. You're talking about being slow and kind of having those moments where we're kind of dragging. Listen, burnout is real. And I've been having this conversation with people for the last several weeks. It is so real. And if I can be totally honest with you, I've been burnt out for the last 2 months. As of where I've gotten up, I've gotten going, and about 2.5, 3 hours in, I'm like, man, this day is a wrap just about, right? And it's because we're burnt out. And what I'm finding is that many people are realizing that they're burnt out. And I think prior to COVID, we overlooked those kind of things because we're constantly going and going and going. But one thing that COVID did is it caused us to slow down. And in that causing us to slow down, we begin to realize the importance of life and those things that matter the most. So because we've slowed down and that we're starting to take a breath in and really appreciate life, we're realizing that we've been burning ourselves out for years, but we just kept going and going. But now we've learned to appreciate that slowness of life.
Exactly. I 100% agree. So I have 2 backup questions to what you said. So the first question is, when you're identifying your purpose, what questions should you ask yourself? And this is just tips to give, the next business owner, because maybe they didn't identify their purpose yet. So what questions would they ask to identify their purpose?
Well, first I would say is, do you really feel like you're doing what you were created to do? That's the first thing. Okay. And that's the first. The second is, are you feeling like you're just stuck? Here's the thing, Kelly, we've all reached success. Okay. And to be honest with you, many of us were told that, hey, if you go to college, get a good job, start a family, buy a house, you're going to reach success, right? And we do all those things. And then one day we wake up and say, man, this is what success feels like.
Yeah.
But what happens is, Kelly, the reason why we say that and reason why we start questioning success, this word success, is we've reached success based off of everybody else's model.
Yeah.
Everybody is not built to be on the same model that everybody else is on.
Exactly.
So we're not utilizing, in most cases, the skills and the gifts and those great things that make up who we are to actually thrive in the success that we were created to be in.
Absolutely.
So,
I have to
that's what you got to ask yourself is, hey, do I feel stuck in the success I've created? And if you feel stuck like in the success that you created or other people have created for you, then it's time to take a step back and say, what do I need to do now, today, to identify the best qualities that I have to offer? Because if you do that, then you can show up every time on top of your game.
Yeah.
And in the midst of all of those things that you do well is your purpose.
Exactly. Taking a step back and reevaluate. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, the second part of that question is, and this is more of a personal question, what do you do to slow down or like rejuvenate? Do you have any personal hobbies that you like to do when you're not in business mode?
So it's a great question. That one thing, so again, with COVID, what COVID helped me to realize is that it's okay to do nothing.
Okay.
I was one that I just constantly I would go. I would wake up on a Saturday and I would get dressed and I say, okay, I'm going to go do this and I'm going to go do that. And before I know it, it's 6 o'clock and I've done all these different things and I've done nothing. Right. And it's like, man, but that was just I was just wired like that. Right. Yeah. But what COVID did, it caused me to slow down and realize it's okay, Eddie, just to relax.
Exactly.
So the thing that I try to do the most is what I call quiet time. Okay. And that's basically just taking some time. We call it meditation.
Yeah.
But basically just taking some time just to do nothing, to be still and be quiet.
Okay.
Because in doing that, a lot of times we rejuvenate. And if you're anything like me, you may very well just fall asleep and take a nap, right?
Yes.
That means you're tired.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
exactly.
So quiet time is good time.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that quiet time. I don't call it that. I call it I'm going to bed, turn my phone off, turn the watch off. I might keep the watch on just in case something important comes through, but yeah. Okay. So my next question to you is, and this is the question I ask everyone that comes on the podcast. I call it the double whammy question, right? So what is the most important thing you learned in life? What was your life like before you learned it? And what was your life like after you learned it?
So
it got hot in there.
No,
Okay.
I can go down this road. I can go many directions on this one, right?
Okay.
The most important thing I've learned in life is that it's not about me. Okay. That's one. Two, what I've learned is my faith is the most important thing in the world.
Okay.
My trust in God and trusting and knowing that it's not about what I can do, but it's about what he can do for me, through me, is the most important thing. So for me, prior to realizing that, I was a teenager. And like most teenagers, we're invincible. We think we can just do everything.
Exactly.
Right? So that's what it was beforehand. Then when I kind of went through this process of what faith was and experiencing the power of faith in and of itself, things began to change. So as life had gone on, I still didn't quite always get it. But then when I all of a sudden got it and had that aha moment through life experiences, that's when I realized that you can't do anything without faith. You can't be a good entrepreneur without faith.
Nope.
Because if you're trying to do it on your own, guess what? You're going to fail on your own.
Exactly.
And my thing is this: if I'm going to fail, I'd rather fail trusting God that he's going to help me get back up and get back on my feet so that I can succeed.
To help you find another way, right?
That's right.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So those are the most important things you learn. I like that. So my next question is, what advice would you give someone who is a new entrepreneur? Maybe they want to start the same career as you. Maybe they want to go another route. Like, what would you tell them?
Well, I'm going to go back to what I just said just a few minutes ago, not too long ago. You need to find out what best qualities that you have to offer. What's unique about you? See, everybody can't walk in a room and just and be positive, right? So positivity is my number one strength, and I know that, right? So when I walk into a room, I know that I'm going to bring this energy that most people are not going to be able to bring. So you need to understand what best great qualities that you have to offer. And then once you identify those great things that you have to offer, then you know what? You go and live in it. And you make that part of your day. Inspiring other people, that is part of my day to day. I wake up every morning, and before I walk out the door, my prayer is, who is my assignment today? And who can I inspire?
Hey,
right?
Love that.
So you got to understand what you have to offer. That's the best uniqueness of yourself, because we're all built differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So here's the last question that I have for the podcast. So are there any books that you've read that has inspired you or that you want to share here on the podcast today?
Well, actually, I have two books.
Okay.
So I'm gonna be partial with one of them, but there's a book that I read years ago, and it was called The Blessings of Brokenness. It's by Charles Stanley.
Okay.
And we all go through challenging times in our life. And many times we feel like the things that we're dealing with, they bring us to a very low point. But in those low points, if we think about those situations as we look back on them, there were little blessings and little nuggets there for us, right? So that was a great book for me at the time when I read that book, because I really needed that, because I was at a very low point in my life, right? The second book, and again, I'm being partial, is my own personal book called Passing the Test of Faith.
Come on with it now.
Right? So in this book, and I wrote the book, but I actually have it on my nightstand. And there are days where I'm just having my moments of trying to understand certain things in life, or I'm going through something personal, whatever. And I just pick up my own book and I'll read about it. And I'll read about being able to trust God more. I'll revisit some of those stories that I share in the book. I'll actually go back and look at my chapter on having the right attitude when we're facing adversity, or how to be patient in the midst of the stuff that we're dealing with, even as entrepreneurs, okay? As well as how do we listen? How do we listen to get the best results that we need to get in that moment?
I think I might have to purchase this book.
Yes, you want to get the book, Kelly. You want to get the book.
Yes, I got to get the book. Okay. So with that being said, let our listeners know how they can contact you. I want you to give me all your handles and just let them know how they can connect with you online.
Yeah, so the best way to reach me, Kelly, and connect with me is by going to my website, which is eddieljohnson.com. That's eddieljohnson.com. You can go there. You can find out all the great things that I have going on, my online course that I have. You can purchase the book. You can actually find out a little bit more information about my purpose program. So everything is there. And actually, all my handles are pretty simple. It's Eddie L. Johnson E4, Eddie L. Johnson E4, LinkedIn, Instagram, and all the other social media stuff that's out there. So,
all right, awesome. I will put all of that in the show notes, guys. So, Eddie, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Do you have any questions for me?
No questions for you, Kelly. I want to make sure that you take care of that sinus infection.
Yes.
And everything. But other than that, no, I think what you're doing is a great job, being able to provide a platform for entrepreneurs to speak to other entrepreneurs. And that's a great thing. We always got to remember this is not about us reaching success ourselves, but also being able to share how we are getting there.
Yes.
And if we do that, we can all get there together.
Exactly. Thank you so much for that. I always feel like I could be doing more. I mean, I got some plans for next year. We're going to talk about that later, but well, thank you so much for having me. Having you being on my podcast, excuse me. Thank you so much for being here. And until next time, everybody, Peace.